Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Classic Quest podcast. This is the show where we break down the classic hip-hop albums of all time. Well, the alleged classics. Go through them track by track and give our thoughts and opinions on every single song. My name is Holden, Stephan.
I am your lady friend, Bonnie.
And today, because it's the 10th episode, we're going to do, well, it should be a ladies album, but I think this one can be a pass as a ladies album because of who's on it. We talking about Fugees. We talking about the score. And I know this one was requested a bunch back when we dropped the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, so you can check that out. It's already out on the channel.
Yep.
But yeah, so it was about time to get to this one. And now we're going to do the intro bit where you can feel free to check the description of this video. Skip ahead to when we start talking about each and every song. We're definitely not professionals. We are some people in our early 30s in Montreal, Quebec, who is trying to actively learn and understand the culture and to go through it album by album and try to appreciate why everything is significant and great. With that said, we totally understand there's some little blind spots and ignorant points because A, we never lived in that lifestyle and where a lot of this came from, and B, well, we started pretty late. So on that note, the comment section has been remarkably fun to help us educate. And so
it's been very up and down.
So basically, I like to read our favorite comment on last week's video because we totally encourage you to leave a comment. We'll have a little conversation down there if you want. And so we're going to do 2 rounds here. First round is just the last 2 comments we got on the channel, both related to our Nas The Lost Tapes 2 review, which just dropped. So the first one that we got was actually from Abracadabra 303. We don't give a fuck about what you think in Nas. Get the fuck out our culture, goofy. I am goofy. I'll give it to him. Mad King Lord 1. I just spent over 2 hours listening to you guys, and you know what? Time well spent. Well, Abracadabra 303. Look at that. Mad King Lord 1 on the same review gave a fuck. Thank you. Thank you, Mad King Lord 1. Like I'm saying, this is the last 2 comments we got. YouTube's a rush sometimes. I didn't agree with all your opinions. Fair enough. Our opinions can suck. I'm totally willing to admit that. And I understand why you had them. Dope-ass, open-minded dude right there. Well, all is said and done. Well, it was really a fair review, and that's all anyone can ask for. That's all we're trying to do here. Yep. Thank you.
Yep.
Good job, guys. I would love to hear your opinion on your reviews on the original Lost Tape, God's Son, my favorite Nas album. Now to go watch your other videos. That guy's cool. Abracadabra 303 is also cool, though, because he was being real honest with us. And honestly, I would rather hear all opinions, and that's the type of person I am. But last week's video, Bonnie's like, people care. We did Ice Cube's death certificate. And what's incredible is since we started this 1-part, 2-part series, everybody basically who watched part 1 seemed to watch part 2 based on the numbers.
Yeah.
So
I guess we did a good job.
Thank you, DJ Black Hurricane, for that request. But on that review, we got a really, really cool comment from the Z to the A to the C to the K. That's how you put it with the dots. I'm a middle-aged man, aka old fart, love it, that has listened to quality music of all forms from the age of 4. This guy's already cool. When it comes to rap, I've studied and appreciated the artist I consider to be worthwhile since '82. That's 5 years since before I was born. That's crazy. From Grandmaster Flash to Run the Jewels, that's a pretty good spectrum.
Yeah.
My opinion on Ice Cube is one that you may not have heard before, but as a 37-year-old fan of rap, it's the harsh truth. Lots of good to say about him as well. Sorry that I am not one for writing a novel in the comments, so send a message. I can also suggest a higher quality artist than Mr. C, and we proceed to talk a little bit more. But I really like the fact that people are willing to open up and just share their experiences.
That's what we love.
To me, it's like the fact that we get to hear from people who come from 8 different places, different age ranges, different connections to different kinds of music. Some people are just pure hip-hop heads. Some people like everything from like DMX to Björk. All I'm trying to say is it's been
it's really
incredible.
cool too that people come to us for, to kind of relearn, or like re-listen to or get like new thoughts on like albums that they love, plus discover at the same time maybe some new ones that, they're like, oh, I never actually gave this one a chance. Let's see what they thought about it.
I look at it like everybody, for the most part, who comes to our reviews has already heard the album. But, like, what we bring to the table is the complete lack of bullshit we swore too early. Of professionalism. That, like, we're just regular. Like you could just, if you were at the table with me, the conversation will be the exact same thing. right? And I just assume that anybody willing to watch a video this long related to music is probably like me, wants to have these conversations with people, but nobody in their regular life, or maybe not as many people as they would like in their regular life, are willing to really sit there and talk about a Fugees album for however long this video ends up being.
Yep.
Meanwhile, I love that stuff. So I mean, all the studies show that the real benefit of the podcast format and why they're doing so well is because they're the complete opposite of professional polished media. They're just regular.
Yep.
Like, and people I really believe like to listen to stuff that at the end of the day they could do, and I'm pretty sure most people watching this review could do just as good of a job, as if not better job than us. So that's just my theories. Anyway, that's a long intro. That's why I told you about the timestampy thing in the beginning, because sometimes we talk for like 6 minutes or however long it's been. Before we jump into it for reals, though, special thanks to the patrons: Ismail Gadamsi, Chris Prado, Jonathan Barnes, DJ Black, Hurricane, Linda Williams. They're super dope. We'll talk about it at the end, but plug them at the beginning because they're freaking dope. On that note, your lady friend Bonnie, what is the album that we will be talking about today?
Well, once more, we will be doing the Fugees, The Score, which came out February 13th, right before Valentine's Day, 1996.
So I feel like the fairest thing to start off a review like this is to let y'all know our connection to the artist, because if y'all been longtime Fugees fans, y'all think Miss Lauryn Hill is like the queen of everything. That's gonna have you feeling a certain way in 2019. I'm not trying to disrespect her. I'm trying to paint a picture. Meanwhile, if you're like an average fan or you casually listen to them, you're going to feel a whole other way. And I'm just saying that however long, if it's been 20 years, if it's been 5 years, all these things play into your experience listening to any project. And I think it's always fair then to let you know how we start off with it. So Bonnie, tell me about what you know about the Fugees coming into this review.
Well, I think I know a lot more than I think I know, if that makes any sense.
Yes.
Like I've heard like a lot of their music kind of over the years, and like I can especially like pinpoint like one of my jobs, my first jobs, like my first grown-up job, or not even grown-up job, my first job in the city, where I was like working with a bunch of girls, and we were it was like a purse store, luggage store, like that kind of thing. And we used to listen to like all kinds of music because we would just get bored. Like if nobody was coming in, we would just put on like all different types of music. And then at one point I became like a manager for a while, for a few years. When I was working there, and I was like the cool manager, I hope, and I just allowed like everybody to like listen to like whatever music that they wanted to listen to, and to like try to like think outside the box, as long as it was like family friendly kind of music and there weren't too many swear words or whatever. Like I didn't care. I was like, let's play whatever. So this got played, I think, sometimes, or like Lauryn Hill did, or just like people just play different types of music. And I think that was like a really cool way, at least for me and like my like ignorant little like mind at that age. And the more it was obviously still growing and continues to still. But at that time, it was good for me to like kind of get like all kinds of music to listen to, and this was definitely some of it. And this is how I know like a fair amount of the Fugees and Lauryn Hill and Wyclef Jean and like different types of music, like different solo projects that they've had as well.
Fair enough. For me, it all started with the Cars back when I was a wee little lad, because I can tell you 2 songs that were played on the radio like all the time. When I say all the time, I mean when they were hits, they were hits. And I'm certain y'all know what I'm talking about as we go with Ready or Not and Killing Me Softly with his song. Now, my mom loved that stuff. She liked those songs a lot. So I can remember her singing along with the radio being real loud and just those 2 songs being played a whole bunch. Outside of that, I don't know anything from the Fugees at all, like for real. Like before this album review, it was kind of like I should listen to Fugees at some point. And like we did Miseducation of Lauryn Hill because it seemed like, all due respect, that was the album to like do if we're going to start there. And then I know we're supposed to also do Blunted in Reality based on the comments, and yeah we will do Blunted in Reality, but I just thought the score, okay, here's what happened. I forgot about Blunted in Reality. I did all the prep work for the score, and then I thought about the decision of if we should do one or the other. And since I'd already done the prep work for the score, that's the one we decided to do because it was ready to go. Either way, I mean, I recognize songs on it, and I thought it would be real cool to like go back to Lauren specifically because we do want to make sure that over the course of doing reviews on this channel, that we do not forget the women. Even if the women tend to get less clicks, which is unfortunate, but there's so many great people, both new and old, that have dropped projects that I don't feel get a lot of shine. However, Lauryn Hill, or shall I say Miss Lauryn Hill, is one of the few exceptions, and I think we can all unanimously agree that lady is pretty fantastic in terms of the artist.
She just has such like a beautiful
I'm pretty
voice.
sure she's coming to Montreal. Like, I'm
She
pretty
often
sure
comes during
I,
like the Jazz Fest and stuff like that.
like, I'm pretty sure I saw that she's going to Place Belle Laval because Laval, the little island above Montreal, is now the hot place for shows with their new stadium. Well, guess what? I went to the new stadium to see the Wu-Tang Clan, and guess what? It freaking sucked because of the sound, not because of the Wu-Tang Clan. The Wu-Tang Clan did their thing, minus Method Man, because for some reason he didn't want to come to Canada. Method Man, come on, dude.
Rude.
But the rest of them was there, including Capadonna and stuff. But like, it seemed like the sound person did not know how to handle this many woos at the same time. So, yeah, that's cool to know that Miss Lauryn Hill's coming into Montreal. I'm pretty sure. Either way, this will be basically my first experience of the score, and that's about all I gotta say about that. And we knew about Lauren a little bit more because we did her album. On that note, it's kind
September
of
21st.
She is coming, eh?
Yeah, to Laval.
To Laval.
Why are they going to Laval? Who's going to go to that?
Because basically, Place Belle is this.
If you know, I mean, you don't know. If you don't know Montreal, then you're not going to get it. But
Ismail,
like,
you might know what we're talking
why are you
about.
going to Laval?
But like, basically, you've got like a metro, or that's what we call a subway because we're French.
But it's like right across from like the last metro.
For
right?
real, like you go to the last metro, which means it's off Montreal. So to go back, you have to like pay an extra fee. Fine, it was like $3.50. But like you go out the metro, and I swear the stadium is like 2 blocks away.
Okay.
So all things considered, I find it even
Convenient
more
enough.
practical to go to this stadium than to the one in Montreal that's
Downtown?
well, if we compare like the actual effort involved, this place was pretty chill compared to the Bell Center. And if I had to pick between Bell Center, which is our bigger stadium, or the Laval one,
That's where
honestly,
like the hockey team plays and like all that.
look, you're not allowed to go outside the venue once you've entered the venue at one place. So there's certain activities that are a little more complicated in life, and all I'm saying is the one in Laval is a little bit better. That's what I'm trying to convey here.
Okay.
For like musical venues and whatnot.
Well, but I mean, okay, yeah.
And I don't know. Either way, it was pretty close. That's all I'm trying to say. So the Fugees, the score. I mean, I picture two things when I hear the score. I picture the musical scores, so like the musical tracks surrounding an album or a movie, the kind of like orchestral almost story of it all. And then I also picture like a heist, like a robbery, like they're gonna go jack some stuff, which makes it almost sound like a movie of a robbery in a sense. Like the Fugees is coming in to jack the game from everybody else.
Yeah.
And then you got like that real black cover with just their faces there, and I feel like it's calling to something. And
It's very Queen-esque, like in what was the music video for like
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Bohemian Rhapsody. It's like that. Their lights are like shining on them, but it's also I think sort of very.
It's a style of something, and I can't
It's like
place
film
it.
noir kind of, or like it's sort of like it gives me like the like what is it that whatever it's called it exudes like the feeling of like a gangster movie or something like that. Like it's like Tony Soprano or whatever, like something like dark with that kind of lighting, that yellow kind of lighting.
Yeah, and I don't know. It doesn't do a whole like. It's kind of iconic in the sense that I've seen it on a gajillion lists that talk about great albums. So I feel like it's imprinted into me, and through repetition, the cover's iconic. But let's say that was a cover that came out today, and I had never seen it before. I don't know that I would think it was that remarkable, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, and it also kind of gives like a 70s feeling to it as well. Like it kind of has like that old school feeling. I think it's the writing, like the font. It kind of gives that kind of old school feeling. Anyways, I think it looks cool, but it definitely looks like it's old school and modern at the same time, I feel.
Fair enough. I don't know if you have anything more to comment about the title, about anything.
No, I'm ready to go.
All right, well, there's a red intro. The dude who did this intro, Mr. Ras Baraka, who does this little spoken word little bit, is the current mayor of Newark, New Jersey, which I believe is basically where they're from, because they're from Jersey.
Yeah, they're from Jersey, yeah.
So, the current mayor of New Jersey is doing the intro of this album back in the day, because he went through like a patch, if I'm not mistaken.
That's what's up.
Where he did spoken word poetry. So I thought that was like, I think it's super nifty. While Scarface doesn't like us very much, I think it's super cool that Scarface is going into politics. And so many people have been able to go and transition into these more powerful leadership positions based off of these kinds of platforms. Because if you want to ask the question, how do we educate the youth? You show them that rappers can become fucking senators and stuff. That's a pretty powerful statement. Like, I'm pretty sure Arnold Schwarzenegger becoming a governor motivated a lot of people. That's all I'm trying to say. Whether or not you like him, the fact that I
don't think he did a bad job. I think he did a decent job.
Anything about Arnold Schwarzenegger?
No, but I haven't really heard anything bad about him. But I have heard positive things about him, though.
I don't know. I don't know anything, so I'm not commenting on that. But I do think that just his story, the fact that you can go from like action superstar to governor, that's cool. And like, if you can set that example, I think that's really proper.
Well, isn't that like the prime minister or something of, where was it? Like, I want to say New Zealand, but I know that that's not right. And there was like a comedian that was like running. Was it Germany?
It's Ukraine.
Ukraine. Okay, yeah.
Ukraine's president or prime minister now is a comedian who's allegedly backed by a billionaire in another country, and it's very complicated. So I don't think that that's the same thing as I'm going to say.
Anyways.
But the guy in Ukraine, if you haven't heard the story, played a guy on TV who accidentally became president, ran for election, and became president. And
so it's exactly the same story that he played out in like a TV show.
So maybe if you write a rap album about becoming president in like a super legitimate way, it accidentally happens to you too. I digress. Let's talk about the intro.
Okay.
So it starts off with DJ Red Alert coming in, and he kind of presents it like Columbia Roughhouse Records presents a refugee camp. Fugees, refugees, get it? Camp production. Fugees, the score. And now for a feature presentation. And then Ras Baraka comes in, and he just talks to us in like a really kind of way. You know, he was chilling outside and just kind of commenting on how people be like trying to break into your house and whatnot, and you got to be out there with a shotgun to protect yourself because people are going to jack your shit, basically steal your stuff or whatnot. People running in with masks on, pretending they're like, you know, Charlie Chan or Robert De Niro or Bruce Lee, and, you know, basically pretending to be like cowboys, bang, bang, you know, trying to shoot whoever he had beef with. He wound up shooting my man in the streets, trying to be cowboys. They can't even shoot, trying to be gangsters, but when the beasts come out the motherfucking block, everybody break out. So basically, everybody's okay with kind of being a gangster and shooting on each other, but when any kind of real adversary, like, say, the police force or the oppressive forces that maybe in the hood come in, oh, now everybody's a coward or whatnot. And then I thought it was super freaking interesting. They want to be Corleone, Luigi, or Gambino, or Gotti, whatever the fuck. They run around calling themselves Raim or Foucan and Mustafa because they think they got power. I got power. I got family business on Avon, Chancellor Street, and whatever. And I think that's fascinating, right? Because something that I guess that I think a bit more about now is how the version of Jesus that gets shown to like people is basically Cesare Borgia, so they whitewash Jesus. I mean, that's just facts. If you look into it, it's facts. And so in the same way, when you look at a lot of the gangsters that the black folk might be shouting out, and I'm not trying to be racist or whatever, but when you listen to who they're shouting out, it's often white Italian guys or like Pablo Escobar for like Nas, right? He's not comparing himself to some famous black dude. He's comparing himself to a Colombian drug lord or, you know, all of these Italian mobster guys. Sure, they're rich and they're powerful and they're mobbing, but I guess in the same way, it's like why not compare yourself to kind of somebody within your community and try to build up or something? I guess that's kind of what I took from that. And I thought that was something, well, it's not something I never really thought about before, I even like really considered. So I thought right at the beginning of this introduction, it's really kind of powerful. And then you get kind of all of the brick city. That's my family. We're gonna settle the score. That's the name of the album. Once and for all, I'm not letting anybody. I'm going out like a bandit, and all these Zealots trying to steal and trying to bite. I got like these big record companies, these corporations, these stores, and they try to rob me. Now, man, I'm gonna get mine. Me and my girl are gonna work out together. We're gonna be a soldier. When I go out, she go out. And we're gonna make believe manifest. Because if you ain't ready now, you ain't never been ready. I'm always ready. And then that's powerful to me. It just like flips in from it. So it's like an analysis of the current cultural state in the environment that he's in, flipped into, you know what, all these vultures and sharks are coming out to get me. I'm going to even that up. I'm going to come in and I'm going to make sure that we put out, the, I guess, in a sense, the best project possible to almost take over the industry and take what's ours, and you can't stop it. And I feel like it's just got this almost call to unite and just band together and just almost be better than what exists and how everyone is. Stop trying to be like these renegade cowboys and start trying to aspire to be like powerful businessmen and other types of figures.
Yep.
Now, maybe I'm misinterpreting that, but that's what I took from that. And I thought it was like an interesting way to kind of preface it, because it really serves its role as an introduction in regards to telling you kind of what to think about in a little bit and to brace yourself for the topics on this album, and I guess a general mission statement for who the Fugees are and what they represent. And the more we hear these albums, so many of them have like introductions by other people like priming them up and stuff. And at first I thought it was weird, but now I kind of find it like kind of cool. Like it's like this guest narrator, especially when it's somebody who goes on to be so prominent. It's like the mayor of New Jersey or Newark or whatever is this guy, and all the way back in the day he was pretty freaking wise and stuff. So I don't know, I just think all of that's really, really cool, and it got me kind of pumped for the rest of the project. And so I gave this a 4.25. It's not the best intro I've ever heard, but it's pretty up there in terms of serving its purpose pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, it's pretty cool. It kind of starts off with like this like it's what I think of when I hear it. It sounds like a plane beeping sound, like something you would hear in a plane. And it does feature kind of a few times throughout the album, and I don't know, like it doesn't, like at no point are they on a plane, do I think? So I'm not really sure how it ties in, like unless I'm just like completely missing it. But like for me, like that's what I think of when I hear like that beeping noise. But anyways, I'd also like to say that I very much like the piano usage on this one. Again, fan of piano music. And it's basically, you know, guys talking about kind of like the troubles in like the hood, and, you know, how gangsters, you know, people try to be like, and whatever else. And just kind of like talking about like how they're trying to do something. And I think that they are also like kind of talking about like the Fugees while at the same time talking about like themselves, how they're trying to be different and make different choices, and doing it differently from how kids are doing it today. And so they're kind of saying, well, you know, we don't know which one's doing it the right way, but you know, we'll see what happens. And it's obviously creating like a conflict in the hood, like, you know, these two sort of generations are kind of conflicting and clashing. And then they kind of talk about, I think, something obviously happened, something happened, and so there's like a score to settle. And I thought that was kind of cool, because he talks about like having to settle the score, and like that's the name of the album, so it all kind of ties together like right from the get-go. And you know, that they're kind of saying like, you know, he's going to defend himself and his people and his family, and you know, he's going to go out with a fight. And you know, it sounds kind of like tough, but he's like defending himself. And like there's also like the sounds of police sirens kind of like interloped in it as well. So it kind of sounds like maybe like you're out on the streets in like, you know, like a neighborhood that's, you know, underprivileged or whatever, and, you know, a troubled one, and they're kind of maybe like walking around kind of talking about like all the stuff that's going on, or just hanging out there or whatever. I mean, I thought it was good. I gave it a 4.4 on 5. Yeah.
All right, so I think it's time to start talking about some Fugees. Well, how many mics are in this room? Well, if you counted 3, you're wrong. There's 2 more mics you can't see.
and one guy named Michael.
Oh crap, there's even 2 other mics if we count the lapel ones. Okay, we're done. We're gonna
Style with no rehearsal. Ooh, contraire, mon frère. Don't you even go there.
Alright, Bonnie, I started off the last one. You should go with this one.
So they sing on a lot of mics. And that's kind of how it starts off, or what they're talking about, and that they're just like spitting like all of the time, everywhere, like all the time, and they're just, spitting on different microphones, all over town or wherever. And yeah, and anyways, so it starts off with, we've got like Miss Lauryn Hill to begin with, and this one, like, her rhymes are awesome, and like her flow is really great, and it's definitely has some like clear punches to it as well. The beat is like nice while still being kind of gentle at the same time, and yet it still is like a super like captivating kind of sound. And it kind of sounds like city noise again, like we're kind of like in that like ambiance of like that environment. I like that. We've got Wyclef on here. He makes, his appearance, and he's awesome. What else can I say? And then Praz comes in, and he's got a very different sound from the other two, while still sounding similar, if you know what I mean. Like, he definitely still kind of has that I don't know how to say it.
Aren't they Haitian?
Well, yeah, I think both of them are Haitian. Well, I don't know. Is Lauren Haitian? Because I know she speaks French. I think so, but she's from I think she grew up in New Jersey.
Yes.
But I don't know if she was like from there. I assume so, if they're all called the refugees. So that would make sense.
Okay, go on.
But anyways, so they definitely all have that sound, like sort of Haitian sound, I guess, an accent or whatever. But like Praz just isn't as smooth. Like, he sounds like he could be part of like the Woo or something. Like, he sounds like he should be in a different group a little bit. Like, he has like that different sound to him, more aggressive, kind of, like I don't know, like, I can't think of who else it sounds like that, but he definitely has. But it still works. But he definitely stands out, though, for being different. But I really like the chorus on this one. And then the story continues, sort of like, or the narrative kind of continues of like these two guys talking, and like it just kind of like you'll see it just kind of appears on most of the songs. And it's sort of like, saying that they're like ready, because ready or not, like, they're coming in. And I like how that kind of leads into like the next song. And also there's like a lot of like history involved in that as well. Like, there's different pieces of things that are kind of thrown in. If you just read through like all of the lyrics, like, there's a lot going on. And I give this one another good one. They're basically letting us know that they want their music heard, like that they want people to hear it, and that they're just going to keep performing on all of these different microphones around town, and they're just going to keep killing it, and playing their music, because it's what they do. So I give this a 4.4 on 5.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is definitely an ego track. What I mean by ego track being one of those songs that's in the more competitive nature of hip-hop culture, where you try and be the best. A lot of people are trying to talk some smack about you. So you say stuff like, I get mad frustrated when I rhyme, thinking of all them kids that try to do this for the wrong reasons. Seasons change, my things rearrange. Can we just take a quick second to go on a little tangent there?
Sure.
Because I was looking at her flow. I get mad when I rhyme, thinking of all the kids that try, and then that scheme's done. Right? Just like that, thinking of all them kids that try to do this for all the wrong reasons. Seasons change, mad things rearrange. So reasons and seasons rhyme, but they're like the same two words next to each other. Whereas the other words that rhymed were just kind of slittered in. There was no rhyme, no reason to it. Mad things rearrange, but it stays the same, like the Love Doctor Strange. I'm tame, like the rapper, get red like a snapper when they do that. And all of a sudden, how many different... Like, this is not a regular rhyme flow. This is like a lady who's just spitting some stuff and managing to just rhyme stuff, and just out of the flip of a dime, I'm gonna change my rhyming. I'm gonna just make it work, and that's just what I'm gonna do. And on that front, I thought that was like ridiculously impressive, to a point where I was like, wow, Lauryn Hill is A+. Like, she can spit, right? And that's fine. Like, overall, the whole tone of this is really just that they are really good at making music, and that's what they're proclaiming to be, is great at this music thing. They're not necessarily going to kill you. They're not threatening to beat you up. They're not even trying to be hard in any conceivable way outside of their actual skills at rhyming. And that seems to be like the prime focus of what they're trying to do with this type of a track, you know? I like when she's like, if only they knew that it was you who was irregular, sold your soul for some secular music that's whack. And then music is a term used to describe background or elevated music due to a genre's stereotypical lack of virtuosity. And then if we take a time to really just consider modern pop music and overall copy-paste formats and flows and sounds that will often get used by, I guess, the people that end up being branded as clout chasers, because on the real, everyone's a clout chaser. But, like, I mean, everyone does things for the clout. But, like, the negative clout chasers in that regard of you're not even trying to create your own thing, you're just copying for the sake of. Plus, you use that loop over and over. She's just re-emphasizing what I'm trying to say here.
Yep.
Claiming you got a new style. Your attempts are futile. Ooh, child. You're puerile. Brainwaves are sterile. You can't create. You just wait to take my tapes. I love the way she just keeps flipping the rhyme schemes and the flows around here and just making it, like, stupidly fresh, in my opinion. She keeps going with the rest of her verse. It's super proper. And then it just kind of ends with some Bible bars. Yep, that's right. Bible bars. My rhymes make incisions in your anatomy, and I'll back this with Deuteronomy or Leviticus. God made this word. Ooh, Leviticus, God made this. That actually rhymes when she does it. You can't get with this sweet licorice. Oh, that still rhymes when she does it too. You can't get with this sweet like licorice. Dangerous like syphilis. Yeah. And, well, she's not really the biggest fan of people being a little promiscuous, as we discover on her next album. Mm-hmm. So it makes sense that she throws around an STI, because now they're eyes. They were D's back then, but now they're eyes. In your face like a weapon. And I'm just like, damn, man. Having, like, the beat's really great, like Bonnie said. I don't think I can really describe how smooth and, like, you just get, like, drawn into it and you just want to hear it. And the way they flow over it's fantastic. However, my, like, order of enjoyment of terms of versing, Lauryn Hill is, like, right up here. Then Wyclef does his hook, which is okay. It's a nice hook. It's fun. Then Wyclef starts rhyming. My enjoyment just goes down a little bit. It's not that it goes down a whole lot,
okay,
but it's hard to, like, go from Lauryn Hill's verse to, I used to be underrated, now I take iron, makes my shit constipated, I'm more concentrated. Because it's a good bar, because when you're constipated, your shit is technically more concentrated and dense and hard to push.
I guess,
and then he's consuming iron, which will in fact do that, and I'm going, Wyclef, I shouldn't have to be having to explain this. I mean, I could have skipped over this line, but this is how Wyclef starts the very first verse. Next to Lauryn Hill's, like, I guess, coolness, this was a strange verse starter to describe.
I mean, sometimes they're very separate, and they don't always flow in, like, the same storyline, kind of. Sometimes they're just kind of talking about this, and this guy's, I'm just going to talk about this. So sometimes there is that kind of.
So simultaneously, when he goes, or just like to counter that, problem with no man, before black I'm first human, appetite to write like Frederick Douglass with the slave hand, street pressure where the pop I'm going under, one day I'll have a label, make deals with Tony Mulata. That part's really cool and fresh, right? Because Frederick Douglass is a fascinating character in history that you really should learn more about if you don't know who it is. But needless to say, he learned to write and wrote a book with his former slave hand. So that's actually really cool. It shows history. That's really nice. Not his shit's constipated because of iron, and that's a good pun on like, that was just a weird one. All right, it's a weird one. And then there's also a lot of, like, cultural references that are gonna get thrown into this album, like a whole bunch that really, really do date it. And I have to say that even though this album is dated as all anything, it manages to still sound pretty amazing in 2019, which is one of the only times I think I'm really going to say this very dated album is really still sounding fresh to me. Even with lines like, I'm going to go survive unless I get crazy, like Seal. I know that's Kiss on a Rose, but that's the real Seal Jam. But like, you know what I mean? Like, it's a little, or So at the Night Fiends Dance on Grease with John Travolta.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't nobody making Grease bars nowadays, you know? Like, I mean, there's probably somebody.
They're missing out.
Anyway, I thought it was just really funny. And then he like ends it with this setup by the face, they're scoping us with the infrareds. And I thought that was just cool that we end up going on such a vivid journey of different things that get brought up in Wyclef's verse. But overall, it's pretty good. Then Praz, who I believe is related to Wyclef, comes on and he goes, too many MCs, not enough mics. Exit your show like I exit the turnpike. Dyson Dynamite like Dolomite. Double DOS bin like I don't Dick Van Dyke. On the one hand, I really, really like the way he flowed. The first time I did not. The second time I did not. But then it was kind of hard to say that, right? Like, go try to say that sentence and flow it. It's a little bit challenging. Then I realized this is actually really tight. It's just really different than what the other two are doing, like Bonnie said. Mm-hmm. And it's all right. I don't have a whole lot to comment on it. I think Fast Car by Tracy Chapman, as he cites in the last line, is one of the best songs ever composed out there. I'm throwing it out there. Tracy Chapman, Fast Car, has to be on a, like, if you have a list of 100
It's
songs
also
on
a
an
cover.
album. Yeah, but Tracy Chapman's verse is fantastic, okay?
Sure.
That's what I'm trying to say, right? That's it.
Okay,
Anyway,
that's what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying. So then the song ends again, and all things considered, I was like, this is fantastic. Like, this really got me excited, especially knowing what the next song is. So I gave this one a 4.5 on 5 because, I mean, the next song's a fucking banger, and this is just a little bit less good than the next song, so there's no way I could, in all fairness, give this one a 5. So let's talk about one that is, in fact, a 5, Ready or Not.
That's right.
To be king again. Ready or not, here I come. You can't hide.
Oof. Can we not just stop and call this song a 5? Review done. This song's like really amazing.
Yep.
I mean, just from the beginning, the way the oohs,
The second you hear it, you know what it is.
and then like the way the beat kicks in and stuff. Ready or not, here I come. You can't hide. Gonna find you and take it slowly. Now, if y'all been watching me for a long, long time, you know I'm not the hugest fan of R&B. Whatever kind of fusion nonsense they have going on right here is just the most magical stuff
Because it's
ever.
mixed with like soul and like reggae and just like a whole great like mix.
And then when Wyclef just kicks in, it's like, forgot about the last song. Now that I escape, sleepwalk away. Those who can relate know the world ain't cake. Jail bars and golden gates. Those who fake they break when they meet their 400-pound mate. Whoa, that's a little bit different than like the normals that we get, right?
Yep.
So he's kind of like trying to break out maybe a division of the world and everything that's kind of perceived, and I'm assuming it's more like the reality that's pitched versus the reality that actually exists, you know? And then people who kind of get that realize that maybe certain things that get pitched aren't the greatest stories that are being told for your end results, and when you do end up in jail with a 400-pound guy in your bunkmate, that might make your
Let's hope he's not on top.
Let's hope he's not a top. Because then your bottom, it's going to feel
Your bottom,
like
yeah, exactly.
If I could rule the world, everyone would have a gun in the ghetto, of course, with Giddy Appy on their horse. I kick a rhyme, drinking moonshine. I pour a sip on the concrete for the deceased. And man, that's like a powerful just thought, right? Like, make sure everybody can have almost, like, and when I picture everybody getting a gun, and I know I'm not from the hood, I know this isn't my reality, but it sounds like giving everybody a gun would equalize things a little bit and make it like...
Yes and no.
But if you look at it from the perception of arming them to unify against the more oppressive forces that are outside of the ghetto, I don't look at it like you're supposed to then turn your guns on each other there. I think you're supposed to worry about maybe forces that are making your life in the hood a little bit more challenging.
I guess.
You know, because one giddy upping on their horse, you know, that makes me picture like a charge, like you're breaking out, like you're gonna go on like an infantry on an assault or something. Maybe I'm wrong, but this is just what I picture from that.
And well, actually, I mean, horse, I think, is also slang term for heroin, if I'm not mistaken. And he's saying, like, in the ghetto, of course, when giddy-upping on the horse, I kick a rhyme drinking moonshine. It's like he's doing heroin and maybe drinking? I don't know. That's something.
Well, I mean, it definitely see where you're coming from, and it definitely paints that context in terms of it not being the nicest place,
And
especially
it's hard.
because
Yeah.
you have your moonshine, which is your bootleg, high potent alcohol. That's probably maybe not the most legal stuff. Is moonshine legal? I really have no idea.
Well, I don't think that. I mean, taking anything that the government wants to sell and make money off of is not legal.
Well, but I mean, if you brew your own moonshine and you don't sell it, because I know that
I
there's
think
a
it's
legal
fine.
limit to selling it. But anyway.
I mean, if you put it in your bathtub.
But then you
I
pour
don't know.
your sip on the concrete for the dead homies and whatnot.
Yeah.
Thinking about the robbery he did last week, money in the bag. So he's like kind of dazed, almost reminiscing on crimes he had to commit. I want to play with pellet guns from here to Baghdad. Gun blast, think fast, I think I'm hit. My girl pinched my hips to see if I still exist. I think not. I'll send a letter to my friends, a born again hooligan, only to be king again. So it's almost like again, I could be wrong, but I feel like you have him almost reminiscing on a harder time when his life was more hectic, and he's almost transitioned into this desire through redemption to have something better and to almost create something more, with that last line, a born again hooligan. That takes away from the Christian references of born again Christian as somebody who's gone through a process to redeem themselves. And a king would be, depending on from a more Nation of Islam perspective, like a black man who has found the pride within himself and whatnot. So I thought that was like a pretty cool little way to end that verse. Lauren basically is just like, I'm gonna destroy you. I'm just freaking the greatest, man. I gotta play my enemies like a game of chess. When I rest, no stress. If you don't smell cess, lest I confess my destiny's manifesting some Gore-Tex and sweats and make tracks like I'm homeless. That I make tracks like I'm homeless line is pretty clever because homeless people walk around and stuff. So they create tracks. They probably also have tracks in their arms. But then she also makes tracks because she's a freaking ill lyricist, dropping such a powerful triple entendre with that line like that. The writer in me can't help it, man. Whenever I hear triple entendres like that, it's pretty fresh. And then just like rap orgies with Porgy and Bess, so she's just picturing herself freestyling, creating this blend of all sorts of different sounds that maybe shouldn't go there. Capture a bounty like Elliot Ness, yes, because Elliot Ness put Al Capone in jail on tax evasion with that underachievers or whatever. Bless you if you represent the foo. We're representing the food, Lauren. We got you. And then I really like the voodoo witches brew line because I guess if you're hanging around with some Haitians, that
There's
is
a lot of,
kind of part of that culture, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And that was pretty cool. And then because she brings up Elliot Ness and stuff, right? And whatever, she brings up Porgy and Bess, the last two lines actually connect to those earlier lines. So while you're imitating Al Capone, I'll be Nina Simone and defecating on your microphone. So again, kind of calling out, I guess, people who are imitating white gangsters, trying to beat his kind of way. She'll be Nina Simone, who, if I understand it, is part of Porgy and Bess, who is more part of the community build-it-up type person. And who says defecating on your microphone? What a cool way to say shitting on a microphone. That was amazing. I was like, Lauryn Hill, again, smoked this track. Although I gotta give it to Wyclef. I think his verse actually was pretty strong too. This music video was okay. It was fine. I don't have a lot to really say about the music video.
Okay.
But then there's the third verse with Praz, and he just never ends up kind of feeling like he's
fits in.
as good as one of the other two. Like, he's not bad, and I don't want to insult him because that Praz song with Mia and ODB
the thing is that he
is
doesn't
really
fit,
good.
But I think that this maybe it just wasn't the right band for him or the right group for him. He would have fit elsewhere.
Yeah, because the talent is there, but it seems
MF Doom and him would get along or whatever.
I don't know about that, but he seems to have and I'm not trying to we're only on track 2 here or the third track, but still it's another shorter verse than the other two.
Yeah,
and it's really
tends
good.
To also be the case.
It's again, it's really well flowed and everything, and that it's cool, but I don't know, he just seems less enjoyable than the other two on again this track. However, he still sounds really good, and I'm not even trying to say it impacts my grade because it's not like Praz comes on and I'm going, oh. It's more in the honest conversation, I feel again, it's a little weird, but he does do really good on this one. And I really like the "A refugee from Guantanamo Bay danced around the border like I'm Cassius Clay." Yes, sir. Because that's an interesting line. Again, we all know about Guantanamo Bay and its reputation. But then "dance around the border like I'm Cassius Clay" kind of makes me picture, you know, wasn't he like really...
He was a boxer.
That's Muhammad Ali, if I'm not mistaken. Or...
I think Cassius Clay was a different person? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, Muhammad Ali is Cassius Clay.
Oh, it's the same person. Never
Yeah,
mind.
I was pretty sure about that.
Don't know my boxing
And
history.
Wasn't he the one who would like dance around the ring, like sting like
Sting
a
like a butterfly, yeah.
So he danced around the border, like when he was in Africa and those other places, fucking punching and whatnot. So I thought that was like a really also just... It's like you have to kind of understand what they're talking about to get the bars, but I think that's usually just what the case is.
Yeah.
So once you understand the references, they're all like really, really good, and I think that's pretty cool. So anyway, that would be all I have to say about this one. That is a 5 on 5. What about you?
Yeah, so this is definitely an epic song. It's definitely a 5 on 5 just to start off with. I mean, to start with, we've got Wyclef. He comes on at the beginning, and he's fantastic. And I love that he, like, I don't know if he's...
Oh, go on,
Do you
go
have
on.
something to say?
I'm going to say it at the end.
Okay. I don't know if he plays up his accent maybe a little bit when he's like performing, but it's definitely very clear in there when he's speaking, unless he's like I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of Haitians here, and I guess they have like an accent, but then their French is definitely different. But I mean, we can all kind of get along. And anyways, and just sort of like talking about like the mischief that he's kind of gotten up to, and even though he's been brought up in the hood, he can still be a king, he can still be successful, he can still like be great. And then the second verse, we've got, you know, Miss Lauren again, and she's basically talking about rappers that are talking shit about her, but she's basically saying kind of like what you were saying, it's kind of like a, you know, it's being like, I'm the best, basically saying that she's better than them and that she can do whatever they're doing better than they can, so they need to shut their mouths. And everything is like so smooth in this song, and like yet there's like still like these like warning messages to like those who are like wanting to like battle them or think that they're better. And I do like their team energy that they kind of give out, and like how they kind of help each other like on each other's verses. So there's kind of like different ad libs by the other members when like one of them is singing, and so it is kind of nice that they're all still there and like they're engaged in like what like the other person is singing about, like while they're, you know, which is good, a good thing to have. And you know, like it's really cool like listening to like Lauryn Hill. Like she's just so great, and she really just has like such a beautiful voice for singing and for rapping. And I think that that's kind of you know, sometimes it's kind of unique. Sometimes, like, you know, a rapper doesn't always have like the best singing voice, so it's really nice that both of these are great, and like just listening to her rapping or listening to her singing is just gorgeous. So either one is amazing. And I like how she kind of ends her verse with, so while you're imitating Al Capone, I'll be Nina Simone and defecating on your microphone, because she's classy as hell, and she's not going to say she's going to shit all over you, because that's not what she's about, because she's classy. She's going to defecate.
She will defecate.
Like a classy-ass lady, biatch. So basically, I mean, it's a 5 on 5. It's a gorgeous song, basically about not messing with them. And I think it's pretty cool.
So to answer all y'all questions, yes, I did watch the music video. I don't know if Bonnie did, but we need to have...
I did. It's not.
little,
there wasn't really much to it for me.
which is crazy, right? Because for a while...
It's very dark. A lot of it
I've
is very
seen
dark.
RZA bragging about, and this I believe was even in his Of Mics and Men documentary that he just did, how Triumph from Wu-Tang, released on February 11th, 1997, is the first $1 million hip-hop music video. Yet they only spent $800,000 on it, according to an interview that you can see with them. So they are, anyway, so fine, we'll say close to $1 million. Now that's an interesting point, right? Because fine, Wu-Tang Clan It's 97. So I was looking at the most expensive music video list because that's now really public and easy to find information. I can understand why we don't count MC Hammer as expensive. So fine, MC Hammer had $2 million music videos, more than $1 million. In fact, so his lesser expensive one is Here Come the Hammers at $1.3 million, January 1st, 1991. And then Too Legit to Quit was $2.5 million. Again, November 91. Now, if you're going to say that doesn't really count because he's Hammer, all right, I can accept that argument and it makes total sense to me. So why don't we then talk about Ready or Not by Fugees? Because that was released August 29th, 1996, being approximately 7 months before or 8 months before the Wu-Tang video. What was the total amount of the money spent on Fugees' Ready or Not?
How much?
$1.3 million.
Whoop, whoop.
So I don't see how this isn't
But they
hip-hop.
do fall into the hip-hop category. Yes, there's like soul and reggae and like
How is this particular
R&B.
song not a hip-hop song? This is a hip-hop song.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand how it's not. So that makes RZA either wrong in the sense that he doesn't know the history, or there's a reason why we don't include Fugees' Ready or Not as the first $1 million plus music video, which it seems to be for hip-hop that isn't MC Hammer, because, again, I think we can all understand why MC Hammer is whatever.
Yeah.
So with that being said, it's basically a bunch of awkward CGI combat stuff that's going on while they like rap in between it, and yeah, I guess it was cool at the time. It's totally lame right now. I'm not even gonna I did not really enjoy the music video very much. That's just my 2 cents. That's worth $1.3 million, but when I think back to the time, it is really cool for a music video for the era in terms of effects
I guess.
and things like that being done. Kind of like what Wu-Tang did with the Triumph video. And if I have to pick between Wu-Tang's video and Ready or Not, it's absolutely Ready or Not, because no offense to Wu-Tang, but that video was not the best. Anyway, I would love to know your opinions on that, because all I'm saying is when I looked up the numbers, it says flat out Fugees' Ready or Not is the first hip-hop song, we'll say counts, that has over $1 million spent on a video. Why is RZA saying this otherwise? And I have a screenshot of him saying it in 2016 after this information is really available on Wikipedia. So I'm just curious to know your thoughts on that. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. That would be real cool. And where'd you get this song?
Ready or Not, 5 on 5.
Yeah, okay, cool. Let's talk about the Zealots.
Okay.
These styles more powerful than gamma rays. My grandma pays like Carlos Santana plays.
Musical Zealots. I think it's Zealot. Is it Zealot? Zealot? No, Zealot. I see it on Google. A person who is fanatical and uncompromising in pursuit of their religious, political, or other ideals. Included in that other ideals can be obsessive fandom for a particular audience. And as a person, as an example, if you happen to not like the latest Mac Lethal track, holy crap, you will find some Zealot-like behavior in the fan bases. The Wu-Tang Clan fans, and I like y'all, don't get me wrong, I like y'all, can be kind of Zealot-like, and for me, that passion is fucking fresh, is all I'm trying to say. Anyway, how do you think about this song?
So right away, it samples like a relatively popular song from the 1960s from the Flamingos called "I Only Have Eyes for You," and so it like right away it's like a cool throwback kind of feeling. And it's really, I thought it was nice that it was mixed in, and it's such an amazing song about them destroying like other rappers, MCs in battles, as I guess they did, and then he starts spitting, and like his like flow is so cool, and because they have like this like reggae influence, it kind of comes off kind of smooth and relaxed, even though they're kind of saying like hard, like, you know, kick-ass things. I think that's pretty cool. And like Lauren, again, like she's so classy in her rhymes, and again sounds like super cool in like her flow and the way she spits. And Wyclef, he talks about how people are thinking of, or keep like saying, I guess, like that they should break up as a trio and each go their own like separate ways and like make their own solo projects. Spoiler alert, they do that. But they're like, no, we're not going to do that. We're a team. We're in this together. Like, whatever. And then Praz comes in, and apparently, according to Genius, somebody on Genius, one of his lines or part of his verse was an attack on Drew the Damager, who I did one of his songs for a lyrical breakdown. And kind of just at the end, there's someone talking. I'm guessing it's the same sort of people who were in like the intro, or like I don't really know who it is that's talking the whole time. It's not. I don't think it's any one of them. But so there's just like these guys in there, and like, they're just kind of talking about how dangerous life is, and then how somebody was talking to a cop and saying like how, like the cop was saying like how himself, I guess, or him and other cops shoot black guys for fun, and it's just like a thing that they do because why not? They can get away with it, and nobody seems to be able to do anything about it. So it is still touching on like a serious issue, something that was happening at the time. I don't know if in 1996 in New Jersey life was all that great in a lot of areas, but the song is pretty damn good, and it's really cool kind of what they're saying and the flow and the sound. So I gave this a 4.75.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like this one I like just a little bit less than the last one. Mm-hmm. But, like, that's almost like my general... But, like, this is what I would say is more of, like, the general standard of this album is, I guess, a good sound. Now that we've heard a couple of them. The instrumental is distinct. And I have to say that every instrumental on this album, in case I don't actually say that again, comes off with this fresh, like, what else sounds like this album?
Yeah.
I can't, even now, what else really sounds, I mean, you guys know, somebody can tell us in the comments, I'm super curious, but in general, like, this is a really interesting and engaging feel to it.
It's also, like, the unique mix of, taking people from elsewhere and kind of, like, working with, like, their strengths and, like, their music influences, like, reggae and, like, all of that kind of, like, incorporated into, like, one... like Nas, like he incorporates a lot of jazz into his music, and like so I think it's always really cool when people kind of have that and they can kind of show like what they're passionate about, and it doesn't always have to be hip hop and stay into like that lane. Like you can do mix in other music, and I think that's really cool what they do.
I mean, yeah, I feel like in this case they flow really well, and the rhymes are, at least in Wyclef sense, some really out there references. Like, I haunt MCs like Mephistopheles bringing the sword of Damocles, which is like this
I think those are Egyptian
historical gods? Like it's Greek. I'm pretty sure it's Greek, like lore, and it's or the legends or whatever you call them, myths.
Okay,
and
yeah.
So like, wow, like you really do got to understand a little bit where he's coming from. So he's flossing like his knowledge. Secret Service, keep a close watch as if my name was Kennedy. Another interesting line. Like you could say like, people are stalking me, or you could be like, the Secret Service is concerned about me to a point where I may as well be Kennedy with it, which is cool. Abstract rap, simple with a street format, which is honestly a good description for what they're delivering across this album. The lines are abstract and they're delivered with a more street format in terms of this hip-hop sound. Gaze into the sky and measure planets by the parallax. Parallax has to do with the rotational something in space or another. I learned the word when I read the Stephen Hawking's book, and I'm just like, is he really dropping like astrophysics terms in this? Yes he is. And then check out the retrograde motion, which is when shit moves kind of backwards, which is related to the parallax thing. I can't explain the concepts well enough, but he uses all the words right here. Kill the notion of biting and recycling and calling it your own creation. So, don't bite our style, which is fair, which is, again, something that we know happens time and time again. And overall, my favorite line might be, it hurts, don't it? Or a hypocrite critic, but deep down inside you wish you had a pop hit. So these are people who might be attacking them on their style, but they're just kind of jealous of the fact that their stuff is working really well. It hurts, don't it? A refugee come to your turf and take over the earth. So to have somebody who's born somewhere else come to America and dominate must bother some people. Now, if you say, is that really true? Come on, y'all, look at the news. You just gotta look at the news to see that people coming from other places to America bother some people. And And then I really dig Lauryn Hill's verses too. Yeah, behold, as my oldest manifold on your rhymes, two MCs can't occupy the same space at the same time, which is interesting because it makes me picture those old like West offs where it's like two of us. This town ain't big enough for the both of us. We're gonna blast off as in like an MC battle. But she's going so far as to bring it up as against the laws of physics, which if you look at some theories in physics, you really can't have that happening. That's pretty cool. Rap rejects, my tape deck ejects projectile, whether Jew or Gentile at rank top percentile. Many styles more than powerful than gamma rays. My grandma pays like Carlos Santana's Black Magic Woman. And that's pretty powerful, the way that she's able to basically formulate a top tier in terms of rhyming verse here, pointing out that regardless of the opposition of everybody out there in the world, she's one of the best, and her grammar's so dope that it pays. It's kind of like how good Carlos Santana's Black Magic Woman is, and that's a pretty good song. Anyway, I like how she adds a motherfucker into it so that some people can hear her, because I get that's like a little criticism, almost saying that if I just kind of drop the really smart, prolific line and I don't do anything to dumb it down, then
People aren't
nobody's going to care, you know? Then Wyclef comes back in and does his verse again. You can't try, but you can't divide to try. These cats can't rap, Mr. Author, I feel no vibe. The magazine says the girl should have went solo. The guy should stop rapping, vanish like Menudo. What Wyclef didn't know, okay, because this is about, I believe, Vibe magazine, and it's an article that kind of said, you know, they're all good, but Lauren would do much better on her own. It's that on the next album, well, there wouldn't be one because Lauren would go solo and do a little bit better off on her own. Took it at the heart, but every actor plays his part as long as someone's listening and knew it was a start. You know, it just kind of looks like he's kind of reflecting on we're going to come in. And then we're going to write and establish ourselves. Play Mr. Big, I'm going to get you sucker while you munching at your lunch, and I'll be planning your assassination and hate you like the Dutchman. So, like, he... basically, Dutch Schultz was a notorious mobster, so it would have taken people out. And then Dutchman is also a 1960s Afrocentric stage screenplay, though it's most likely a coincidence. This is from the Genius annotation here, and I thought it would be good to share that with you because I didn't get that last Dutchman line. But the line I did get was do a cameo while everybody do the dance, because Cameo has the song Word Up, where it lyrically references that, and I thought it was cool that I caught that little pun there. But in general, he flows it through, and it's clearly like, fuck what you think, we're here and we're gonna like take it back and I'm gonna floss it. And then Praz shows up at the end again, sounding a little bit different, but he's still pretty good. I kind of like when he goes, and to the youngers who carry gadgets and kill 6 days a week, then rest on the Sabbath, violence ain't necessary unless you provoke me, then get buried like the great Mussolini. Which is an interesting line because Mussolini was a very violent, encouraged it, very fascist, but then got taken out and was a victim of almost the same violence that he encouraged or whatnot. So if you come at him and invoke that kind of violence, you'll end up with the same fate as Mussolini. So it's actually like a pretty solid line. For you budding rap zealots, your rap style or relics, no matter who you damage, is still a false prophet. And that's still pretty true. I mean, the score went down as a classic, and I don't know that all the people biting their style back then or making them talking haters got really the same level of reputation that they did. So good on y'all. They pulled it off on this track. I thought it was really substantially good to listen to, really enjoyable, and I gave this song a 4.5 on 5.
Very good. So I mean, I really liked it too. The hook is really kind of funny and sounds cool. And it's it's sort of like more Caribbean-y. I don't know if I'm saying that properly, but you know what I mean. Like, it has that kind of Caribbean flavor in it. And Lauren is basically, in her verse, she's talking about the corruption of those in power and how black people are getting beat by the police. Like, this is like, an ongoing issue, still something that's happening today. So it seems...
Really? What? In the Zealots song? She's...
No, I already talked about the Zealots song.
I thought we were still there. We hadn't really moved on yet.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, and the next song, that's what happens, right?
Yeah, you can cut all this.
So why don't we just migrate into the beast, and we'll keep all this. Woo!
Okay.
As a shot up like El Haj Malik Shabazz. Hot class get bypassed when my ass gets harassed.
All right, Bonnie, how do you feel about this one?
So the hook is kind of funny and sounds cool. And like I was saying, it sounds more Caribbean-y. And Lauren is talking about the corruption of those in power and how black people are getting beat by the police. So again, same sort of issue that's still happening today. It's still a current issue. So like in that sense, it's a classic because it's, you know, it's still something that's reflective of today, unfortunately. And seems to be a song pointing out all the injustices that African Americans face, and basically because of a racist or a corrupt government, or you know, those people are in charge. And then Wyclef comes on, and he's basically also discussing the how he's not happy about you know, government systems and things like that. And it sounds really cool, and like the beat is really cool. Their flows are really cool. And it kind of has like this childish kind of sing-songy sound, I guess, like on like the hook and everything. It just sounds like fun, but like they're talking about something that's pretty serious about, like, you know, like the discrimination of, you know, the government and like failed systems and how they're not helping those who need it. So it's interesting how it kind of flows together to kind of make that something that's going to be I don't know, worthy to listen to, I guess, you know, and it really is. So I thought that was really cool and kind of like an important message to get out there and to kind of remind people that this needs to be fixed and helped out. And then there's like the skit that continues at the end, which I thought was kind of weird. It was guys like trying to like order some food, and then like the guy starts, like the guy who was like taking the orders, and I'm guessing he's supposed to be white, but I really didn't.
No, he's supposed to be Chinese. They're going to a Chinese
like
restaurant.
I didn't even get, like I was like, I don't get it.
So they go to a Chinese restaurant, and yeah, I don't really fully understand what happens, but they're in the middle of describing some stuff. He says beef fried rices. Let me get a half a chicken wing. And then the restaurant guy, two of you at once. Okay, then you want beef? No, we want a beef to eat. We got no beef. And then there was a misunderstanding.
Yeah.
And it just kind of escalates to a point.
And then like the guy like taking the order, like like I don't know, he's like pulls out these like Mortal Kombat moves and hits them. Like it's
and
very
he's
weird.
Like, all right, this is a Chinese restaurant, but like Burger King, have it your way. And then like comes in and like beats them down.
Yeah.
But I think it's kind of related, right? Because keep in mind, we just talked about Ice Cube, so we can think about the Black Korea song, where evidently, especially within a neighborhood, the way Asian store owners seem to be treating black people might be comparable to this beast in the neighborhood that's subjugating the people. So there is like a connection, I think, but I honestly can't stand this skit from like something to listen to.
No.
I don't know if it was supposed to be like humorous, if it's funny, but I'm really bad at knowing what's funny.
Yeah, like it's a bit weird, and I do wish it had been good, or had been like a separate like thing from the song, because it's going to happen like again on this album a few more times, where like they kind of tack on like that, like a weird skit at the end that is, you know, and it's they just you have to skip it every single time you listen to it because it's just so annoying. So like I do wish that had happened. You'll hear me say that some more. So that's why I had to give this one a lower grade because of that, but it is a great song, but the skit included in it is not, so I give it a 4.5 on 5.
Yeah, that's kind of a little bit how I'm feeling on this track. Like the beat production is super well, and it really like captures the essence of like the environment that they're in, and I guess like the threat, like to personify like conflicts with nice sticks, illegal sale districts, handpicked lunatics keep Paulette trick shins rich. So like right away you're looking at like how the police might be beating people down, and you know like they're trapping maybe black folk in the community specifically to make politicians rich, because the lobbying at the top level, you know, to fund a private prison system is a little bit whack when you really look into what actually goes on there, you know. And then she just kind of flows in the rest of her little verse, and it's just really, the rhyming is fantastic. Like everything rhymes. Like heretics push narcotics and miss this risk and frisk, cool clicks throw bricks but seldom hit the targets, private dicks sell hits like porno flicks do chicks, the 666 cut wick like new green brick sucks dick. Like everything basically rhymed with that ick sound. That's fucking cool. That's a really dope verse right there. While also kind of pointing out some of the ways that, again, the system is kind of fucking over poor people. And then flips into Wyclef Jean, who's like, meanwhile, the government brings Star Wars from Glocks to Glockers because they had this, like, space program once upon a time to arm up space or whatever that the news called Star Wars, so they went on it, and, you know. Mr. Mayor, can I say something in your honor? Yesterday in Central Park, they got the jogger. And I'm like, oh, we just learned about that. The whole Central Park jogger case, where even in that show, they kind of undersell how whack it was, because DJ Vlad interviews two of the Central Park victims, and they point out that it's more than just 5 people. There was like at least one other case directly related to that. So there's a 6th person who was like locked up, but apparently there was like 15, a whole bunch of them that were like in the room, and like most of them just got deals or like got charges and accepted the things. So this was like, you focused on these ones, these became like the spotlight of it, but it kind of undersells that it's actually that much deeper what went on in that situation.
Yeah. Central Park 5, eh?
Or like, yeah, let's get the confusion straight and get a Gotham. The man behind the mask you thought was Batman is Bill Clinton. So in this case, you think that the guy coming to save you is Bruce Wayne, this hero, this whatever, but really it's Bill Clinton, the politician. And I don't really know if they like Bill Clinton or not. I mean, you see it from like this point of view. Like now, people kind of seem to like Bill, but
Well, they definitely were talking about how the government wasn't helping them.
right.
So
I'm
I'm gonna
gonna
say
assume it's
no.
negative. And then I looked up Connie Chuck, wrong the bum as it comes from Oklahoma, and she was a newscaster who basically insinuated the Oklahoma Fire Department couldn't do their jobs or something, and it's just this lack of faith in it. And then I don't know, it's just really powerful. Like, it's like, right away to the last line, well, I'm an MC, I'm down with the Fugees. Mother Mary caught a flashback like Rodney, now got the cops lolly. It's like, damn, right? Like, to the point where, like, imagine what Rodney King probably has to deal with in terms of, you know, PTSD and flashbacks and stuff. And then Lauryn Hill brings it in. The subconscious psychology that used against me, if I lose control, will send me to the penitentiary, such as Alcatraz or shot up like El Magic Shabazz. High class get bypassed while my ass gets harassed. So in here we have, it's ingrained into you as a person to basically harass me, the black person, and target me, or the minority, the person of color. And if they fuck up, straight up to jail. Meanwhile, like, if you look at metrics, let's just take drug dealers. There's almost more white kids selling drugs at college than there are black people doing it in the hood. I don't know if that's 100% true, but there's a crazy, like, ratio of white kids that can just sell drugs in more high-class environments, and everybody's okay with it, and nobody really gets mad. And, you know, if you're a swimmer and you happen to have a few minutes of pleasure with a lady behind a certain garbage can, the judge will let you off with some leniency. If you're a white guy, it's just whack the way that this is
really
so
crazy.
clearly unfair. The way sentencing and the court systems target people specifically based off of their ethnicity, and the amount of times it's been caught in recent years alone.
Like,
And
just
then-
like the crazy, like how they, like the things that are blatantly obvious, how they just let white people off, and how, like, for literally nothing, almost, like, it seems like they just will arrest black people, and it's just like,
And I
so
just
crazy.
think it's interesting because when you hear songs like this, it forces you to like think about this kind of subject matter and then learn about it or not. But that's why I think it's kind of important to like talk about stuff as it comes up in these songs, because this is the messaging. This is what Fugees wanted to say. We should take a think about it, you know. And
I
then
also want to let you know, I think Rodney King is dead. I think you mentioned before something about him being alive still. Definitely think he's
well,
dead.
did he die like right after? Or
No, I think
but,
he
like,
died a few years ago.
But like in terms of his existence after that incident, that's
Yes,
what I was
yeah.
trying to imply.
Okay, yeah.
And then Wyclef does his last verse, and it's you know, looked in my rearview mirror, police was getting closer, heard a roar in the sky, looked up and saw blue thunder. My ending conscience says throw your handkerchief and surrender, but to who? The Star-Spangled Banner. Oh, see, you can't say, can't you see, crops more crooked than we? By the dawn's early night, robbing for keys. Like, that's fantastic. Like, he's being chased down by the cops, and then at the end of the day, it's like he kind of flips the American national anthem, which is a weird national anthem for a Canadian. Ours is about peace, love, and nature. Honestly, that's what ours is about, loving thy fellow man. The Star-Spangled Banner is basically about rockets and bombs and shit. It's war. So anyway, then
Well, I
they
think it was
flip
created during, like, what, the Civil War or
That's
something?
fine. It's still war. It's
Yes.
not literally peace, love, and nature like Canada.
No.
But you can't see costs more crooked than we. It's a great way to flip the second line to really put it in, pay taxes out my asses, but they still harass me, which is crazy, right? Because in a sense, you'd think that the cops literally are our employees in the way that we pay taxes. And in Canada, at least for me, I pay taxes on every paycheck. So my income tax, by the time the year comes around, 98% of it's paid by the time that number comes back. Oh, it pays 100. Yeah, well, all year they took 40% of what I make. So yeah, they basically are being funded off of our work. And that's ridiculous that they would treat anyone like that, because even if you're in any community contributing any amount, you're still paying for the 5-0s, and then they beat you. That's ridiculous.
Yep.
And then, as is the norm on this album, the very last verse is reserved for Praz, who gets less time than the other two.
He gets us minuscule little verses.
However, it's still good. The streets of corruption got me busting and cussing, and the concrete jungle. Jungle kind of works with the other two. Thoughts of being dribbled like the tall kid, dribbled like the tall kid, like Mutombo, handled by Hannibal. Soon I'm gonna be a fugitive like Dr. Kimball. That's fair. And it just kind of flows out a little bit more from there. And, it's the same overall theme, but just a little bit less good than the other ones, I think. And then the song ends with that skit, as we discussed, and that skit was definitely something else. I feel like it's a really cool anti-police album, and had the skit not been there, I would have given it a higher grade, but I give it a 4.35. And then it flows pretty seamlessly into the next song, which is called Fugees.
Yeah.
All right, Bonnie, what do you think about the Fugees? La 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 la.
This is such a great song. This is definitely one that I knew coming into it. I forgot that this was the name of the song, so when it came on, I was like, yeah, I know this song. It's so good. So yeah, it was just nice to have that kind of throwback. So they come in so hard on this one, and this one makes you nod along to it, and it just sounds so cool. Again, Wyclef comes on at the beginning, and he's really cool, and again, they work nicely as a team together. And I just love Lauren when she comes on on the chorus, it's just so cool, the way she flows, ooh la la la, it just works so well. It's just the natural coolness that they bring to the table, and how they bring that to the group, to the refugees, which again, Fugees for short. And I really like Lauren's laugh in her verse, that ah, ha, 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 or whatever that she does. That was a terrible example.
I had a feeling you were gonna like the laugh.
Yeah, I mean, because as soon as the song comes on, that's all I hear is I just love her little laugh that she does. Again, Praz comes in and has this teeny tiny little verse. It's sort of them two, and then they're oh, let him have a little verse, dear. And he's the little brother. It's I want to play, and so they all right, here's a couple of lines for you. It's they just kind of throw it on, but I'm sure that's not what it was. But maybe he was more behind the scenes.
I feel
guy.
I've seen his name on a lot more the production credits
that's
than
what
the
I
other
mean.
two.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't want to diss Praz.
I'm not trying to diss him at all. I just think it's, anyways, it's cool. That's what I mean. He's probably more the behind the scenes thing, so that's cool. And it obviously his contribution counts too, but just it's funny on the little lines that he gets. And so they talk about also carrying weapons because the apocalypse is coming soon. And so this was 1996, so I was thinking it's got to be 2000, is that what they're thinking about? Was that the end of the world? Because a lot of people did think that, but I guess 4 years is kind of scary when you think if you think the world's coming to an end in 4 years. It didn't, surprise.
We also survived 2012.
Woohoo! I'm surviving all the apocalypses. Bring it. Yeah, anyways, and I like that it also sounds like a record played, there's sort of that scratchy bit, and it's purposely done, which makes me want to buy it as a vinyl and keep it in pristine condition just so I can listen to the scratching that's purposely put there. I think that would be cool. So anyways, I think this is a great song, one of my favorites for sure. I give this a 4.85 on 5.
Fair enough. I really enjoyed this song. Again, I feel like the Fugees have this way of encapsulating you with the perfect combination of musicality and the way they sing over it. in terms of just like I don't even know, again, like that combination of almost like soul and hip hop and a few other things that is just done better than like so many other attempts to fuse these things.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is. Like they really excel in this hybrid nature of sound that they've created here. Wyclef starts us off. We used to be number 10, now we're permanent 1. In a battle, lost my finger, Mike became my arm. I mean, he rhymes a little bit better than me. That's cool. I guess now they're achieving. But it's maybe not his strongest, but it's still pretty good, you know, because they really have climbed up. And at this point, I do believe their singles were like doing extremely well on the charts at some point, because obviously the singles come out before the album and stuff, so probably they maybe have even written some of this after they had started to gain some serious success. And then it's a little cool, like pistol nozzle hits your nasal, blood becomes lukewarm, tell the women be easy, nah, squeeze the Charmin, test Wyclef, see death flesh get scorned, but you so bad make you feel like you ain't want to be born, John. And it kind of feels a little flossy, like I'm gonna come in, if you fuck with me, it's a bad situation for you to be involved in. But like, I don't know, I feel like I'm more interested into the flow of this song a little bit more than the lyrics. I feel like it just is something I could listen to, but I don't know that while I was listening to it I was 100% focused on it. Now that I'm looking at the lyrics, it's pretty harsh, you know. Nobody's shooting, my body's made a hand grenade, girl bled to death while she was tongue kissing a razor blade. That sounds sick, maybe one day I'll write a horror. Blackula comes to the ghetto, Jackson Acura. Stevie Wonder sees crack babies becoming enemies of their own families. Armageddon come, you know we soon done. It's like, okay, it's like a little bit of an extreme line, and then it's almost like, damn, that's an extreme line, I should make a horror, and then proceeds to pitch out some of the more intense situations of the reality he's facing, you know? I thought that was pretty cool. Lauryn Hill's verse is also pretty good. I don't feel like this one is like the most lyrical in terms of being like super profound. It sounds like more fun. Like, yeah, in saloons we drink boons and battle goons till high noons, bust rap tunes on flat spoons, take no shorts like poom pooms. That's a good line. And then just in general, the sound that she's playing, see hoochies, pop coochies, because I'm pretty sure a poom poom is a coochie and a hoochie.
Yeah.
And a hoochie is also like an alcohol. So while you're inside the saloon drinking this, there's usually some coochies and boozies going on, and you may also even battle over some tunes, and I guess the spoons, because the spoons can create the rhythm and shit. So that's pretty fucking fly.
And it's used to burn your drugs.
And then another thing I like about them is that they'll make references to stuff outside the realm of hip-hop, like when she goes say like Paul McCartney.
Good song.
Not Hartley. Oddly, I can see right through your bluff. Huff, but they puff, but they can't handle us. We bust because we fortify, can never hide. See coolly high, cry when Koshai. I don't know what that line means. I like the way she's rhyming it. It's pretty cool. Anyway, then she does her laughy thing, and I feel like she in the end goes, because I'm super fly when I'm super high on Fuji la, and they're kind of, because la 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 could be like weed, but in this case they're going Fuji la because they're basically the drugs, the Fuji la la, you know. It's like, you know, like get
their
high
music is
on
addictive.
our music. This music video, by the way, was way better. I thought it was way more fun. They're all in like these cowboy outfits, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. And it was just like a cooler vibe to it that's going on. Then Praz's verse is pretty solid in terms of flow and listening to it. It's all right. Doesn't have a lot for me, except I'm happy I understand now when he goes like, I'm a true champion, like Farrakhan reads his daily Quran. It's a phenomenon. Lyrics fast like Ramadan. And I thought that was so clever, because the Honorable Minister Farrakhan is one of the top dogs at the Nation of Islam squad. And he would then, in fact, read his Quran daily. But, like, you fast on Ramadan, but his lyrics are fast like Ramadan. Get it? And
Good.
And
there's so much that, like you know, Farrakhan, like, I would not have known who that was, like, a year ago.
But now
you know?
we do.
And now we know.
And that's why we keep doing this, because we keep learning. Mm-hmm. So even if we are embarrassing ourselves in your eyes, next year's version of us will be more enlightened, and that's the goal. Then there's a little bridge, and the song kind of ends again, and it's totally fine. I thought it was a 4.75. I think it's one of the stronger songs on this album sonically. You can really vibe to it. If you're into some la la las and that kind of stuff, it's totally designed to also work with that. And actually, the whole album works real well with that kind of experience of certain things.
Yep.
So I definitely think they understood how to create like a safe pop sounding hip hop album for like my mom to vibe to, while also making some fresh shit for people who understand a couple things in the world. So
Yep.
it's a really good two-pronged attack approach that they've done with this album, in my opinion. And then I think we get some features on the next one. So why don't we talk about the family business?
Bang like my city, bang, bang, shebang, featherhead. We ain't selling cocaine today.
Alright, so this one features Omega and John Forté, who I'm not sure who they are, but they actually just sound really fresh on this song.
Yep, agreed.
And like something that happens a lot on these 90s albums is you see the features and they're names you've never heard of before. And that is the most wild card experience I think you're ever going to get, because what's truly incredible about the 90s is just this squad love that went on, where if guy on your team completely was trash, you'd still put him on your platinum selling record because he's your dog, and you will put him there.
Yep.
Like Quentin was on the way.
Quentin's on his way.
And then
Quentin's on his
Quentin
way.
raps on the freaking album. Or just all the other posse cuts from guys that, like, honestly, you maybe never hear from again. Or maybe they had local careers and stuff. But I love the fact that music once was cool like that. Nowadays, damn, I don't really know that we get a lot of that like we once did. Where like completely garbage people can be on the song. And I'm not talking about Omega and Jean Forté, because where I was really going with that is they are not that. They actually sound really fresh next to them. Like Omega starts us off. Where I was born, nothing is promised. My life is filled with less hope than the prophecies of Nostradamus. So it's got the same level of geeky, you gotta know what's going on, that the other ones have brought. When I say the other ones, I do really focus more on Lauren and Wyclef.
Yeah.
My life, and then Nostradamus had, I believe, apocalyptic prophecies of the end of the world, so that's pretty cool,
Okay,
because
that ties in.
his entire like hood is maybe given him bleak, not so positive circumstances, so his hope spectrum is that ending. Omega marks the end of predictability, because what is after the alpha comes the omega, and it kind of ends. It creates a transition into something less stable or whatever. And I just, again, like he really flows super real dope. And I like the fact that he's got lines like philosophies develop deep in the streets in dirty Jersey, troops with scully hats and Timberland boots. And just the idea that you're trying to even craft your own philosophy or document some kind of way of thinking that's like your own brand, that's pretty cool to me. Wyclef comes in and does his thing. These days it's hard for we to find peace of mind. Between insanity and sanity there lies a thin line. Some dwells in hotels with Jezebels, the Stone Age, and fall victim to the plague. And then you get this sense that inside of this crazy environment where right and wrong are so blurred and it's so easy to cross the line and do the bad thing. And then being caught up in hotels with Jezebels and whatnot. I don't know if it was at this point, right? But somewhere around this time, Wyclef is married and smashing Lauren. That's happening. And so when you hear a line like some dwell in hotels with Jezebels, it's like you wonder, is he talking about being like locked up in a room with Lauren somewhere and nobody's supposed to know and whatnot? And is that like a little...
Well, because their relationship was on the down low for a long time.
And then we find out
that
some
much
stuff.
I know.
But like, so I'm just saying, like, I wonder if they like how much they actually took shots at each other, like within these things on the album. I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it. I've been accused of that before, but that's fine. One last kiss from my sweet serpentine. Eliminate, break, navigate to rejuvenate thoughts of suicide with my nickel plate. Reconciliate came from my enemy friend who said, "Family don't bend, we stay solid to the end." And I guess you're just, when you're in such a drastic environment, thoughts of your sanity being questioned and whatnot, things like suicide might pop into your mind. And if you do have access to a gun and you are being betrayed by friends turned enemies and stuff, it must be a complicated thing. Now, who would think that your best friend would be your worst enemy and your enemy your best friend? Sun Tzu would think that. Just throwing it out there. Art of War, in case you didn't know. In fact, most people would think that based off of like ancient philosophies and stuff. Not like everybody nowadays, because common sense is kind of dead. But yeah, but I like that line because it does take a common sense principle and tells everybody that. And I think that's a great way for knowledge to get shared. Or One of my favorite lines here is, like Alex Haley, take notes on this biography. My family tree consists of street refugees that get around where we talk slang, stolen cars bang like my chitty bang bang shebang. So Alex Haley wrote the autobiography of Malcolm X, which is a fantastic book, and I recommend everybody read that. If you have not, you should. It's just facts. And so in the same way, it's like, take a look at my world and, you know, listen to what I got to say and put that out, because we can maybe make some change or whatever with it. Then you got the hook coming again. Just walking the streets of death can take you away. It's never guaranteed you'll see the next day. At night, the evil armies of Shaitan don't play, so defend the enemy. That's the code to obey. Shaitan is the original name for the devil, which is a big, complicated subject I don't know enough about, but I know enough to know that Shaitan is more where the conventional Satan that we all understand comes from.
That makes sense.
Isn't like Satan with the red devil's horn. That's nothing from the Bible or
Yeah.
anything. That's some shit that like got added
isn't
in.
like in Dante's Inferno, isn't like the devil like he's like upside down in a block of ice, like he's just like this weird guy who's just completely not what you would expect.
I guess. I don't know. I didn't get that far in Dante's Inferno. But I know in the Bible, the devil is supposed to be
Spoiler
the
alert.
most attractive thing you've ever seen. So, like, Lucifer, being, like, in the show Lucifer, where he's playing this really hot guy who can smash anyone and seduce people, that's actually a more biblical rendition of what the devil is supposed to be. The devil is supposed to represent temptation in the most beautiful way. So it's supposed to take the worst things for you and turn them into the most beautiful things. So there's no way that the devil would turn into this red-horned evil monster. That's just not how it
Too
would
obvious.
work. You know? Anyway. And Wyclef comes back, and I really like that. Nah, fuck that. 52 pickup, no cops around. 52,000 in cash, I don't want no savings bond. Had the money ready, I smell something fishy. Wife's in my custody. One false move and you'll find her body in the sea. Man, it just seems crazy, because 52 pickup is that game where you throw cards into the air and you pick it up. So now you're just picturing that with money and everybody trying to get some shit, but you gotta, you know, avoid more of the banks and stuff because you can't trust that stuff. They almost kidnapped this person's wife. It's a fucking ransom. You know, that's the voice of the kid. That's the kidnapper. I do my work, then I catch my ticket to Jamaica. Meet me in the alley. Make sure to bring the money. This ain't the 70s. I'm far from a drive turkey. He's almost yelling this part out. It's got more passion to it as he's playing the role of a guy who's like extorting your wife. Like, jacked her. You want her back? Pay her. She's dead. Then Lauren. This is the verse.
Yep.
She murks it. My circle, it can't be broken. My circle, it can't be broken. Open, cutthroat, and provoking. Record promoting, token, choking on their words like smoke. And because we soft spoken, don't mean that we've forgotten. Your booty smell rotten, and one day you'll be gotten. Damn. She's just cold, calm, and calculated. And she's pointing out that, yo, we are tight, and we are ready to come at you. And we are ready to go and destroy you, and your butt smells bad. It's true.
True story.
She does bring that in. See, jokers is scatterbrained. Their focus is unrestrained. My army is trained. You never find us beeping in vain because I've seen fire and I've seen rain. Which, as Bonnie pointed out, is who sings that?
James Taylor.
So that's a
Mr.
James
James
Taylor
Taylor.
thing. But let's be real, man. Everything is rhymed. Like, almost every syllable she brings up here is rhymed with another syllable. And then she's proper. I can judge a character like it to judge a verdict. And if you bring in threats, I give you sex if I ain't hurty. And I was like, damn, she's ready for anything, to a point where she's offering sex because she's ready for anything you can come to offer, and she's that confident with it. See, popping shit's about your attitude and how you word it. I seen the biggest on the blocks get murdered, and they deserved it. She ain't holding back, dude. She's like, if you have the wrong attitude, it don't matter who you are, you're gonna get got. And if you get got because you were just talking some smack and you were putting yourself in that position, you deserve it. Like, that's cold.
Yep.
Anyway, so what's my purpose? Family, we must preserve it. Your number's retired. I hope you light the hell fires. You'll be screaming murder, she wrote, like Chakademus and Pliers. Don't understand the last line, but I get the point. Her squad's tight, and they're going to wreck you, and it's just so powerful. Then John Forté comes in, and after Lauren, it's just not as good, but it's still pretty good. Like, he does his job, and again, he sounds like a homie on the track that you want to keep hearing on. That was very good. I don't really have a lot to comment on his verse. He's fine. Anyway, I do like when he goes, if you think lips sink ships, imagine full Glock clips. Because that's a funny, interesting point, right? Cause
Well, that was loose lips sink ships. That
Yeah.
was like an advertisement for like during like the wars to keep like your mouth shut and
Yeah.
not let the enemies find out any sort of plans about like, you know, our side of things,
Yeah.
you know, like, so it definitely relates to it.
So, and if you think that sinks ships, imagine what a full black clip can do, you know? It's more powerful, and
Yeah.
if you're going to behave in a certain way. Anyway, I like this song a lot. I thought it was a really solid posse put on this project. A lot of verses to cover. I think Lauren is absolutely brilliant, and then it ends into a transition into the next song and a goofy play up of what that one is. Still, I give this 4.5 on 5.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so I agree with you, you know, that Omega and John Forté are both great. Like, you know, sometimes when there's like a feature, if you haven't, well, I mean, if you haven't heard of them, in this case, we haven't heard of them, and they're both really great. They both are, yeah, so good. So this is sort of about how they work together as a family to destroy each other. So I'm guessing that these are other guys like in their squad, you know, just hanging out. And how, you know, if there's violence, that they can use violence, and they're kind of saying that, like, if they die amongst this, and if this is, you know, like, this is like their reality, you know, living in like the hood, you never know, you know, they're kind of saying like, you know, we weren't meant to be here forever anyway, so don't worry about it too much. So it's kind of somber, but it's still like, it has such a lovely beat and flow while still being kind of anxiety ridden because of like the quick guitar riff that's featured in it. And it's really interesting the way that they use instruments to kind of like have that kind of sentiment behind it. So it definitely kind of has that kind of like on edge kind of feeling. And I thought that was really cool. And they all flow really well, and they're all clearly, like I said, really talented. Each one is good. And then at the end of it, we have the skit, and then it's sort of like she's singing like the next song, but the lyrics are different, and she has, you know, like she's maybe like singing it live, and based off of kind of like the intro to the skit here, it sounds like maybe it's like a dance hall type space. And so I was wondering if like maybe like this was like she had like the beat in her mind, and she was like trying to come up with like the words for the song, and maybe like these were like, you know, like the first inspiration before she tweaked it and changed like the lyrics to it or something. Like, I don't really know. But yeah, and they sort of like trick us by like adding like these skits at the end of their songs again, which I wish they just wouldn't do, because, you know, I would like to have them separate from the song and not have to like fast forward that last bit like every single time. But cool song overall. I like the teamwork, and like the message is kind of daunting a little bit. It's sort of saying like, you know, death is always near, and kind of saying like, especially when you're, you know, an African American person, you know, at this time, and continues to be, unfortunately. So again, I also gave this a 4.5 as well.
Super cool. All right, so we're gonna cut this for part one. It seems to be the new thing, and I don't know if y'all like it or not, but so far the only comments I've gotten is from Lindell saying I don't care, and from someone else saying yes. So I'm gonna assume that with two people basically saying keep going, that's dope. Plus, it makes our life a little bit simpler, because having this review over 2 days appeases the YouTube overlords more than putting it into a giant video, and it seems that you're more willing, you as in the people watching, to click on something more in that hour to an hour and a half range than if we had just done maybe a almost 3-hour video here. So let us know what you think about this 2-part format. For now, we're going to keep going with it because it seems to make sense. And the day it stops making sense, well, we'll
go back or change it.
Yeah, we'll do that, because that's how it is here. We appreciate you watching the video. We understand who we are and what you may see as you watch us, so feel free to leave any comments that you want, positive or negative, about us, and we'll definitely have a little chit chat in the comments. You can subscribe to this to get notified for part 2 or anything along those lines. More reviews, good stuff. Like the video if you did. And then, yeah, special thanks to the patrons: Ismail Gadamsi, Chris Prado, Jonathan Barnes, DJ Black, Hurricanes, Lindell Williams. They support what we do. They helped us get a new camera. They get to tell us what albums to review every couple of weeks. So next week it'll be Lindell Williams' request. And in general, for $1 or more a month, you can help us grow so we can make this place prettier and nicer, and maybe move out of the apartment with this little studio.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank y'all for watching. We make music too. That's on the channel tonight. I'm actually going to go perform after this down at a special little festival. Maybe I'll give you a little clip for the next part 2 video.
There we go.
Thanks for watching. It's really cool of you. Peace.
Bye, guys.